My retirement doesn't mean the end of my life with the club. I'll be able to now enjoy watching them rather than suffer with them.
Old Trafford, February 1st, 2026. United are 2-0 up. The crowd can finally breathe. Outside the stadium, the same banners you've seen for years. Love United, hate Glazers. Then, in the space of minutes, everything snaps back to the truth. If you like breakdowns that expose what the headlines miss, subscribe. I post 3 to 4 times a week. 85th minute, penalty.
الجزاء الدقيقة 85 فلم رحلة العودة
91st, equalizer.
Again, towards the top corner, and he finds it!
94th, Benjamin Šeško smashes in the winner, and Old Trafford erupts.
People here as Bruno Fernandes picks out Benjamin Šeško!
Because United didn't just win, they escaped. Again. And that's the part nobody wants to say out loud. Manchester United are back, but in the most dangerous way possible. Because right now, the club is becoming exactly what Sir Alex Ferguson warned about. Not in a motivational, standards have dropped kind of way. In a structural, this will eventually collapse kind of way. And the craziest thing? The more Michael Carrick wins, the easier it becomes to ignore the real problem. So today, I'm going to show you how United can win 4 straight games, sit fourth, feel like the old United again, and still be worse than we think. Because Ferguson's warning was never just about trophies. It was about the system, and United are still running the wrong operating system. Now, let's talk about the revival. Carrick takes over, and instantly the mood changes. Not because he's doing something flashy, because he's doing what used to be normal at Manchester United. Simple structure, clear roles, players doing jobs that actually make sense, and the results hit fast. 4 league games, 4 wins, no drama in the headlines, just points stacking up. And it's not easy wins either. Fulham at Old Trafford becomes a 5-goal thriller. Tottenham comes to town and gets suffocated for 90 minutes. That Spurs game? It looked like United from a different era. 23 shots, 10 on target. Spurs had 1 shot on target. 1, that's not a lucky day, that's control. And then Bruno Fernandes, quietly, hits another landmark at the club. A reminder that even in the chaos years, there's still elite quality in this squad. So fans start whispering it again. Is this actually happening? But here's the twist. Carrick's best work isn't the results. It's the way he's making a broken squad look functional. Because under Carrick, United suddenly have a spine, a compact shape, a real midfield pairing, set-piece routines that look rehearsed, not random, a press that triggers together, not in 1s and 2s like a schoolyard chase. Against Spurs, the opener doesn't come from some moment of magic. It comes from a plan, a worked corner routine. Bryan Mbeumo arriving exactly where he's meant to arrive. That matters because it reveals something brutal. United didn't need a super team to look like this. They needed stability. They needed clarity, which means the damage under the previous cycle wasn't just bad form. It was chaos. And that is where Ferguson's warning comes in. People quote Ferguson like he only spoke about mentality. Hard work? Disrespect. Standards. But the most important warning tied to Manchester United wasn't footballing. It was financial, structural, cultural. It was about what happens when a football club becomes a machine that keeps resetting itself. Back in the takeover era, the warning was blunt. Debt is the road to ruin. And that line matters because United didn't just change owners. They changed what they were. They went from being a football club that happened to be massive to a massive business that happens to play football. And when Ferguson walked away in 2013, the club started doing something that used to be unthinkable at Old Trafford. They started guessing. A new manager, a new philosophy, a new transfer plan. Then another manager, another philosophy, another transfer plan. Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjær, Rangnick, Ten Hag, Amorim. That's not a plan. That's a loop. And every loop costs you money, time, identity, and standards. Because here's what fans don't always realize in the moment. Every new era comes with a new squad build. Different profiles, different demands, different mistakes. So you end up with a dressing room full of players bought for systems that no longer exist. You end up with contracts that can't be moved, wages that don't match output. And when it fails, you sack the manager. But you keep the squad he shaped. Then you hire a new manager and demand he fixes the mess with players built for someone else's blueprint. That's the operating system problem. And Carrick's run is so dangerous because it makes the symptoms look better without fixing the disease. Because Carrick isn't trying to win the Tactics Olympics. He's doing what the best United teams always did. Win the midfield, win the moments, win the details. Look at the choices. Casemiro and Kobbie Mainoo as the double pivot. Security plus calm. Bruno back where he can hurt teams without being asked to do everything at once. A stable 11, minimal rotation, maximum clarity. Mainoo is the quiet storyline that explains everything. Under Amorim, he barely played. Now, Carrick makes him undroppable. And you can see it. Against Spurs, Mainoo becomes the metronome. Receiving, recycling, killing pressure, making Tottenham chase shadows. It's not viral football. It's grown-up football. Then Fulham happens, and that match exposes the second truth. United go 2-0 up, and still nearly throw it away. Because late in the game, United don't just concede chances, they concede control. And when Fulham drag it back to 2-2, it feels like the last decade all over again. The panic, the fragility, the here we go again. Then Šeško scores, and everyone pretends it's a fairy tale. But the real story is what that game proves. Carrick has made them organized enough to survive chaos. He hasn't made them stable enough to eliminate it. And that's the difference between a good run and a real rebuild. Now here's where this gets uncomfortable. Carrick is giving fans something they've been starving for: normality. A team that looks like it understands itself. A manager who doesn't perform for cameras. A system that doesn't change shape every 15 minutes because someone panicked. And that's exactly why this moment is so dangerous for Manchester United. Because the club has done this before. They get a bounce. They feel hope. They start believing the structure is fine. Then the old cracks return, and the club panics, and the reset button gets smashed again. Meanwhile, the off-pitch truth never changes. The ownership story. The protests. The sense that money leaves the club in ways that don't help the team. The feeling that football decisions are always one step behind commercial decisions. When fans stormed Old Trafford in protest and a Liverpool game was postponed, that wasn't just anger. That was a flare, a sign that the relationship between the club and its supporters had been stretched too far. And even when performances improve, the anger doesn't just vanish, because it's not only about results, it's about what United became. So now we get to the controversial question that decides the next decade. Is Michael Carrick the start of a real return to United's old standards? Or is he another temporary patch that helps the club delay the hard decisions? Because that's the trap. If Carrick keeps winning, the board can tell itself the system is fine. If Carrick slips, the board can blame him, sack him, and start over again. Either way, the operating system stays the same. And that is exactly the future Ferguson feared. Not one bad season. A club that loses its identity, then spends years trying to buy it back. And the wildest part? Carrick is doing the hardest thing in football. He's making Manchester United look normal again. He's giving players responsibility, giving them shape, giving them belief. But belief doesn't fix debt. Belief doesn't rebuild recruitment. Belief doesn't stop boardroom churn. Belief doesn't heal the relationship with supporters. Belief buys time. So yes, United are fourth. Yes, Carrick has won 4 straight league games. Yes, Old Trafford finally sounds like Old Trafford again. But if you've watched this club since 2013, you know how this movie usually goes. The highs come back first, then the cracks, then the panic, then the reset. And that's why Manchester United are becoming what Ferguson warned about. Not because they can't win matches, because they keep building the future on foundations that keep failing. Carrick's revival is real. But the real test isn't whether he wins the next game. It's whether United can stop repeating the last decade. Because if they can't, then even the calmest man in the building eventually gets swallowed by the chaos. And that's the twist. The scariest thing about Manchester United right now is that they're starting to feel like Manchester United again.